Hi guys, in this section we're going to talk about the largest section of your monthly money journal, and that is our Categorized Expense Tracker. Why this section is so important is that this is going to be the section that's going to help you stick to your budget every single month as you track and record and categorize every single expense that you make throughout the month. You're going to be able to roll over from previous months in each and every category, as well as know how much you have left for the entire month.
Yeah, this is a really cool section. It mirrors your monthly budget, and then you're gonna be able to run it like basically a log. You're logging your expenses throughout the month, and it gives you that ability to see mid-month, quarter way through the month, where you're at. If you're on pace to be on budget the whole month, or if you need to slow down, or if you're actually doing really well and you can actually spend a little bit more. So we're gonna give you some few tips on that.
Yeah, so before we jump into showing you the nitty-gritty of how this works, a couple of tips for you. The first is that we think it's really important that you use one form of payment.
One.
So we would really say choose one form of payment that's gonna work for you, that you do all of your expenses from. We recognize there might be a few things that you have to pay in a certain way, and that's okay, and all of those things rhymed. But it's really important that you choose one form of payment because it's gonna make tracking so much easier. The highest one that we recommend is a debit card. A credit card works as well, that you pay off every single month, but a debit card is great because it keeps a digital tracking of everywhere that you spent your money that month. Cash is a little more difficult that way, but it is up to you.
Yeah, you
we
can
really
use that too.
recommend using a debit card to track all of your expenses throughout the month.
Yeah, I think you really nailed the head on that one. Debit is kind of that perfect balance because you get some of the benefits of the credit card, of course, buying online, and you have the ability to see the places you spent at. But then we're going to go into tip number 2, which is that you should also save your receipts.
Yep. So saving receipts is super helpful, and I'll explain why in just a second. But saving receipts is actually easier than a lot of people think it is. For me, I just keep this pouch with me. I just keep it in my purse all the time. But you don't have to have a fancy pouch. You can literally use a Ziploc bag and just keep it anywhere.
What if I want like a fanny pack or something?
You can do whatever you'd like, but just want to make it something that is consistent and that you can keep in a place that you can always find. So it could be a backpack, could be a purse, could be your car dashboard, really anywhere that is a consistent place that you can find it. And the reason that I keep and save all of my receipts every month is that receipts are one of the only ways to truly categorize expenses. When you go to a store, for example, you may go to a single grocery store but spend out of multiple categories within your budget. You may spend out of your grocery budget, out of your home budget, and out of your toiletries and cosmetics budget, and maybe even buy something for the kids while you're there as well. So whatever that looks like for you, it's really important that you save your receipts because this is going to help you be able to categorize all of your expenses. And lest you fear, this thing doesn't fill up too much by the end of the month because every single week I'm taking these receipts and I'm putting them in my monthly money journal during my weekly money meeting that you're gonna hear about in a different video as well.
Yeah, quite simple to do. If your spouse, if you're married, is the one that's doing the budget, then you're going to be meeting weekly to talk about it, stay on the same page. But then your job is that's kind of my job, is if I buy somewhere, is just to remember to keep my receipt, put it in my back pocket, in my wallet, and then get it to Allie so that she can put it in that pouch of awesomeness, and weekly, or if you want to do it bi-weekly, load all those expenses by category into our budget so we have a really cool just picture of where we're at mid-month.
Totally. And one last thing I'd say with receipts is don't knock it till you try it. It's a lot easier than it may seem, and you will be surprised how quickly
and one more cool thing
habit.
is, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you've added them, you might take a picture or whatever, but then you throw them away.
Yep, I throw my receipts away every single week.
You don't have to have huge shoe boxes unless like your accountant says you need to.
Yeah.
But for us, we need them just so we can categorize them, and this becomes our record for our personal expenses.
Yeah, so now let's take a closer look into the monthly money journal at our categorized expense log. All right, guys, so this is your categorized expense tracker section of your monthly money journal. So it's right here. When you flip to the first page, it's going to exactly mirror your full budget from a few pages earlier. So the categories and the order that the categories go on here is exactly mirrored when you get to the categorized expense tracker. So it starts with the very first major category of our core 4, which is your family, and then starts with the very first category, which is food and grocery. All of the different categories are given a certain length depending on the category. If you need more room, you can always use a custom budget, which we'll get into later as well. So when you come to this section of your journal, what you're going to do is you're going to put in the budgeted amount that you budgeted a few pages earlier on your entire overview of your budget. So whatever amount you put in for food and grocery, you're going to put in the budgeted section right here. Now, your first month, you're not going to have any rollover because it's the first time that you're doing this. But in future months, as you've spent through your monthly budget, you may have money left at the end of the month, which you're going to then roll over within that category at the end of the month. So for example, if your food and grocery budget was $400 for this particular month, but you had $20 left from the previous month, at the end of the month, you're gonna have that $20 still left. You're gonna put that as your rollover, and then your total is gonna be $420, which is how much you have to spend this month within that category, because you had some left from last month, and now you have some in this current month. Then as you go through the month, you're gonna go through and write down every store or item that you spent money within that category, within the food and grocery category, how much you spent, and then how much off of your total that you have left to spend for the rest of the month. So for example, again, if you had $420 and you spent 30 of those dollars at a certain store or on a particular item, then the amount left that you would have would be $390 left to spend for the month. So you're gonna do that in every single one of your categories. If ever you have any notes you want to jot about any of them, there's a notes margin on every single page with plenty of room to write all of that information for you. So you go through exactly as it is mirrored in the original budget that you saw. Then you're going to come to your custom section. We have 2 large custom sections and 4 smaller custom sections. So depending on what the custom section is and the amount of purchases you may have during the month, you may choose to put that in a larger custom section or in a smaller custom section. There's also a line for you to write down exactly what the custom budget is so that you have a reference for that as well. It then goes into your house just as the original one did and goes all the way through to then your car, through all of the sections. And then finally, the section that's a little different is the Your Money section. As you go through the Your Money section, it mirrors exactly, but when you get to the debt section, if you do have debt to pay off, there is a line for you to be able to put in exactly what that particular debt is. Also, there's a space for you to put in your goal date to pay it off, and not only how much you have budgeted to spend towards that, but also how much is still owed towards that debt. The sections are a little different here as well because it allows you to put in payment dates, how much is paid, how much budget you have left, and how much is still owed. So the debt section works a little bit differently than some of your other sections. As you go through, there's different places for you to do debt. Coming then to your custom section, and then you're going to move into your savings tracker, which will be covered in a different video. So hopefully that answered all of your questions about the categorized expense trackers, and we're super excited for you to try this out.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If there is any questions that you still had, make sure to check out our other videos on our Learn page at themonthlymoneyjournal.com/learn. If you still have any questions that you'd like answered, you can reach out to us by email at contact@themonthlymoneyjournal.com or go to the contact page on our website. We'd love to hear from you.